Hey, I can give you a summary of Isaiah by reading the subtitles that King James cut out for you. Now, Isaiah is the prophet that belongs to the last years of the kingdom of Judah. His vocation to prophesy came in the year that King Uzziah died, 740 BC, and it was his mission to announce the fall of Israel and of Judah as the due punishment for the whole nation's unfaithfulness. At this time, the kingdom of Judah, living under the threat of the Assyrian invasion, was looking for military alliances to preserve its independence. Isaiah resisted all such human expedients as showing a lack of faith in God and his purposes. When eventually the armies of Sennacherib reached the walls of Jerusalem and called for the surrender of the city, Isaiah advised the king not to capitulate it, and in fact the city was saved without a battle. This is the background to the prophecies in the first part of the book, which ends the history of the period written by the disciples at chapter 39. The prophecies show Isaiah as a man of a lofty vision with a strong sense of transcendence of God. Beyond the destined fall of the nation, he sees a coming age in which a remnant of the people will survive to rebuild peace and justice under a future descendant of David. In the same part of the book, some prophecies from the time of the exile, about 100 years later, have been included. These include the oracles against Babylon, chapters 13 and 14, the Apocalypse, chapter 24 and 27, and some poems, 33 through 35. Towards the end of the exile, some very fine and profound prophecies were made by an unnamed writer with a new depth of theology, looking forward to the coming time when God would comfort his people and restore them to Jerusalem. These prophecies, in a collection known as the Book of the Consolation of Israel, chapters 40 through 55 of the book, and embedded in them are the 4 songs of the servants who suffer to atone for the sins of the people. Chapter 55 through 56 contains the prophecies which appear to date from different times throughout the whole age, from the call of Isaiah to the restoration in Jerusalem after the exile. Part 1, Oracles before the Syro-Ephraimite War against a thoughtless people. The punishment of Judah. Against religious hypocrisy. Lament for Jerusalem. Against tree worship. Chapter 2 is Everlasting Peace, the coming of the Lord. Anarchy in Jerusalem starts chapter 3. A warning to the women. About the widows of Jerusalem is chapter 4, the remnant of Jerusalem and the future restoration. Chapter 5 is the Song of the Vineyard, the anger of the Lord, and the Assyrian invasion. Chapter 6 is the call of Isaiah. The first warning to Ahaz is Isaiah chapter 7. The second warning to Ahaz is the sign of Emmanuel. Chapter 8 is the birth of a son to Isaiah. Shiloh and the Euphrates, terror for the invaders. Yahweh, a stone in the way. Isaiah addresses his disciples. Wandering in the night. Chapter 9 is the Epiphany, the vengeance of the Lord. Chapter 10 is against the king of Assyria. The name Shir-Jashub, the prophecy of destruction. The oracle, the invader, and the coming of a virtuous king is chapter 11, return of the exiles. Chapter 12 is 2 hymns of thanksgiving. Chapter 13 is against Babylon. Chapter 14 is the return from exile and a satire on the death of a tyrant. Also, oracles against Babylon. Assyria will be destroyed, and a warning to the Philistines. 15 is a lament for Moab. 16, the Moabites take refuge in Judah. A lament for Moab and an oracle on Moab. Oracle on Damascus is chapter 17. An end to idolatry. Against the gardens of Adonis. Against Cush, chapter 18. 17 was the upsurge of nations. 19 is an oracle against Egypt and the conversion of Egypt and Assyria. Prophecy of the capture of Ashdod is 20. Oracle on the maritime plain, the fall of Babylon, is 21. And the answer to the Edomites. 22 is against the untimely rejoicing in Jerusalem. Oracle on the Arabs against Kedar is 21. 22 is also against military preparations against Shebna, and another oracle against Shebna. 23 is the calamity of the family of Eliakim. That's the end of 22. 23 starts Tyre and Sidon, an oracle on Tyre, it's the subjection of Tyre. Apocalypse is 24. The sentence of the Apocalypse. City in ruins. The continuation of the poem on the sentence. Chapter 25 is a prayer of thanksgiving and a messianic banquet. 26 is a song of victory. 27 is about the vineyard of the Lord and the pardon for Jacob, punishment for the oppressor. 28 is a warning to Samaria against the priests and the false prophets, against the evil counselors, and a continuation against the poem against the evil counselors, parable of the farmer, an oracle on Ariel, Ariel, and it's the secrecy of revelation. That's also 29.11 against evil counselors. Chapter 30 is against the embassy to Egypt. And the second oracle against the embassy in the testament of Isaiah, the coming prosperity. Assyria will be sacrificed against Egypt. Lord wages war against Assyria. That's chapter 31. The integrity of the king and the contrast between the foolish and the nobles. That's 32. Warning to the idle people. That's 32. Salvation from the Lord. Isaiah 33 is a psalm in hope of the Lord and the intervention of the Lord in the glorious future. 34 is the end of Edom. 35 is the judgment of God. 36 is Sennacherib's invasion. 37, the prophet Isaiah is consulted. Cupbearer returns to his master within a second count of Sennacherib's activities. Isaiah intervenes, a sign for Hezekiah. Then we have an oracle on Assyria. Sennacherib is punished. The illness and cure of Hezekiah is chapter 38. The canticle of Hezekiah and the Babylonian embassy, 39. The consolation of Israel, that's this book. Starts with book 40 of Isaiah. The calling of the prophet, the prophecy of the theophany, the majesty of God, the might of the province, the calling of Cyrus, God is with Israel, miracles of the new Exodus. The Lord is the only God, foretells the victory for Cyrus. First song of the servant, part 1, is 42. The hymn of triumph. Blinding of the people. 43 is the liberation of Israel. God is alone. Babylon will be destroyed. Miracles of the new Exodus. The ingratitude of Israel is 43. 44 is a blessing for Israel. The monotheism. No compromise. That's 44. The satire on idolatry. And a song of joy about the might of the Lord. Oracles in favor of Cyrus is 45. Oracle on salvation. The supreme power of the Lord. The heathen will rally. Evidence of the work of the Lord. God of all. Chapter 46 is the fall of Bel. The Lord is without equals. Lord is Lord of the future, and the lament for Babylon is 47. Lord acts alone, sole master of the future, 48. Cyrus is beloved. The Lord, what the Lord intends for Israel, and the song of departure from Babylon. The second song of the servant is chapter 49. It's a marvelous epic of the return. Offers salvation. The offer of salvation remains open. Chapter 50. Third song of the servant is an exhortation to follow the servant. The salvation of the sons of Abraham. The Lord will soon judge the world. It's the awakening of the Lord. The Lord is all-powerful, consoler of salvation. It's the awakening of Jerusalem, chapter 51. The nation in captivity, the awakening of the Lord and of Jerusalem. The fourth song of the servant is chapter 53, fertility of Jerusalem, the love of the Lord, the new Jerusalem. It's chapter 54. 55 is food of the poor, the covenant, the nearness and remoteness of the Lord cannot fail, and the conclusion of the book of consolation. And the third part of the book starts at 56. The Lord welcomes the converts from paganism. It's a prophetic elegy, E-L-E-G-Y, against idolatry. Talks about the unworthiness of the leaders of Judah. A poem for consolation, fastings, and the Sabbath. Fragments of the Apocalypse is the end of 59. Chapter 60 is the glorious resurrection of Jerusalem. 61 is the mission of the prophet. 62 is the second poem on the glorious resurrection of Jerusalem. And the conclusion, chapter 63, is an apocalyptic poem of the vengeance of the Lord. And a psalm, chapter 65, is the diatribe against idolatry, eschatological discourse. And 66 is an oracle against the intrusion of idolatrous practices and an apocalyptic poem. And finally, the fragment concerning the pagan mysteries and an eschatological discourse.